This is day 198. Open door policy. Open door policy. It sounds inviting, doesn't it? A signal that leadership is approachable, that feedback and communication are encouraged, that transparency is valued. In theory, an open door policy means that any employee can speak directly to leadership about concerns, ideas, or problems without fear of reprisal. But in practice, it's often far more complicated. So why do leaders claim to have an open door policy? Leaders like to say they have an open door policy because it signals that they are engaged, approachable, and tuned into the organization. It feeds a positive image, both internally and externally, that they are in touch with the frontline reality of the business. At a deeper level, many leaders genuinely do not want better information. They want to know what's happening beyond what filters up through formal channels, and an open door policy is seen by them as a shortcut, an invitation for insights, a way to catch problems early, and sometimes even a tool to test the health of the organization's culture. But this is the catch. When leaders hear something through the open door, they often don't personally address it. Instead, they push the issue down to their leadership team to quote-unquote handle. And that's where things break down. When a manager is forced to deal with a situation brought directly to an executive, it often breeds resentment. The manager feels undermined. They sometimes take it out consciously or unconsciously on the person who went over their head. Suddenly, the open door policy doesn't feel so open anymore. Leaders focus on bigger problems. So this is another issue. Leaders are often operating at a strategic altitude. They think about growth, market shifts, major investments, organizational risk. They don't think about the minor frustrations of daily operations. When you bring a relatively small issue to someone thinking about enterprise-level problems, you risk being seen as lacking perspective or bringing quote-unquote drama. It's not that they don't care, it's that their focus is pulled elsewhere. This is why so many employees who take advantage of an open door policy end up regretting it. Is the open door policy legit, or is it just for show? I think it's important to know how you can tell. First, consistency in action. Leaders who really mean it will personally follow up without delegating retribution down the chain. They'll engage with the issue, not just use it as ammunition against lower-level managers. They will respect your confidentiality. Legitimate open-door policies guard the person who raises concerns. It does not expose them. Encouragement without punishment. If you see examples where others have spoken up and have been protected or even rewarded for it, then that's a good sign. I would also focus on patterns, not individuals. A real open door user is interested in solving systematic problems and not blaming people. So if the manager says they're an open door policy and they use your feedback to solve a problem, good. If they use it to blame people for shortcomings, bad. Accessibility over time. Leaders make time for conversations, and that's not just when it's convenient or when it's scheduled. If you consistently see the leader taking time to talk to employees, even in an impromptu setting, this will signal that the leader prioritizes this form of direct communication. If, on the other hand, every story you hear about the open door ends with, and their manager made their life miserable, it's a showpiece, not a real policy. So if somebody has an open door policy and you believe it's legit, then how do you use it? If you're thinking about using this open door policy, I would suggest be strategic. Use it when you've exhausted all normal channels and you have documented your efforts. Be wary of bringing an issue to an executive leader without documenting what you are going to be talking about. Be prepared with data points, because the leader will ask for all of this as clarification. Also, you need to make sure the issue you're bringing is significant. Things like legal violations, ethical breaches, safety concerns, or serious risk to the business. Most leaders will appreciate when issues like this are brought up. That is, if they are really concerned for the health and vibrancy of the organization they belong to. Also, this is important too. You should be prepared for the possible fallout and you better have thought through how to present the issue clearly and professionally. You need to be ready for the leader to actually take action. They're not just going to listen, they're probably going to take action. So consider what actions they might take and be prepared for those actions, good or bad. I would avoid using an open door policy for things like personal grievances. You don't want to say things like, I don't like how my manager talks to me. Unless, of course, there's a problem with like serious abuse or something. Secondly, minor operational issues are just meaningless. Like, for example, you wouldn't say, we need new coffee machines. Something like that. You want to bring an issue that points to a larger systemic problem. Also, avoid petty complaints. I didn't get picked for a project, and somebody else did. Leaders will quickly view you as the problem and not the solution. I would also make sure to frame the issue in terms of organizational impact. This is better than looking at things only from your own personal viewpoint. Leaders will usually appreciate that you are considering the impact of the entirety of the organization. I've also noticed that it is not a good idea to drive into emotional or strong feelings right out the gate. For example, don't say, I'm upset. Say instead, I'm concerned this could lead to turnover. Or this issue may hurt customer sat. Keep emotions in check. Focus on business outcomes and be brief. Let the leader ask how you feel before you provide the emotion behind what you are saying. An open door policy is only as real as the leader behind it. And as any employee, it's critical to understand the true nature of that door before you walk through it. Approach with caution, not cynicism. That may be hard to do, especially if the leadership close to you is making your life miserable. Use a skip level meeting wisely, not recklessly. And always remember, you are responsible for understanding the real dynamics at play in the workplace, not the slogans that are printed in the employee handbook. I've always used this general rule. If I come to a leader with an open door policy and then find out that this concept was only lip service, then I really don't care what the ramifications are because I probably want to find a new leader to work for anyway.